Good afternoon, I'm Sally Ann Roberts, filling in for Eric Paulson as we continue to follow a breaking news story this afternoon. That natural gas platform exploded last night. As you can see in Lake Pontchartrain, these are live pictures of the platform at this hour. The fire is mostly out, but natural gas could burn for several more hours. While the fire is mostly out, the search for a missing employee is still going on. But here's what we know at this hour. There were 8 victims. 3 people are in critical condition, 4 were discharged from the hospital, and 1 person is still unaccounted for, and a search is still ongoing. There does not appear to be any significant environmental impact at this time. We have live team coverage from Katie Steiner and Janella Newsom. We begin now with Katie with more on the search efforts from the levee in Kenner. And are the wind conditions affecting the search any?
Yeah, they did say that the wind was going to really affect those search efforts. So right now there's actually 2 helicopters in the air. I'll show you one of them here. That is the helicopter from Jefferson Parish. So Jefferson Parish is trying to find this missing man. You also had the Coast Guard helicopter as well. Now it looks like it went back to base, maybe to refuel there. So you can see that helicopter is just over the lake trying to find any sign of this missing man. What we do know is that 7 people were able to make it to shore last night after that explosion. They were taken to the hospital. 1 man is still missing. So we have an update on those victims. 2 patients at East Jefferson were released. 2 patients at UMC were released as well. But then 3 patients were in critical condition. 2 were transferred to Baton Rouge to the burn center there. And then 1 is in the ICU at UMC. We also learned a little bit more about this platform. It's a natural gas platform, and so that's what's burning. So there's no drilling of oil, there's no drilling of natural gas. That platform is really just a storage facility there. And Jefferson Parish says that there is no environmental impact here because it's natural gas. So Jefferson Parish said that they turned off that valve this morning, and the natural gas is just going to burn off in that pipe. He said the pipe is pretty long, so it might take a couple of hours to burn that off. But he said that the parish does have control of it.
That gas line has been shut off. It's from quite a distance, so it's going to burn itself out, and that's doing what we want it to do at this point. So we feel confident from the firefighter aspect that we have control of this situation at the present time.
And crews have been fighting this wind all morning long. It was really, really windy this morning. It's died down a little bit, but you can just see the whitecaps here on the lake. They do have a couple of boats. We talked to Jefferson Parish. They said that they were able to get a couple of boats there on that platform. They were actually able to go on that platform as they try to figure out exactly what happened here last night, and they're going to be investigating this for a while. Sally Ann.
All right, thank you very much, Katie. And that explosion rocked neighborhoods in St. Charles Parish and Kenner. And Janella Newsom picks up that part of the story. And you are in a room that had a bird-eye view of the explosion.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Sally Ann. I am on the 3rd floor in the house of Carl and Pam Hansen. They live on Mesa Street here in North Kenner. And Pam was actually downstairs on the 1st floor when the explosion occurred Sunday night. She couldn't see very much, so she encouraged the family to come upstairs here on the 3rd floor. And of course, they took a look through this high-powered telescope, which they tend to look at from time to time, over the levee, and they had a bird's eye view of the platform directly in front of their home, or in back of their home, I should say. And when they saw it, they could see that that platform was fully engulfed in flames. At first, neighbors in the Woodlake subdivision in North Kenner thought possibly a transformer blew when they heard a loud explosion around 7:15 Sunday night. Others thought that possibly there had been a car accident. Several called 911 when they realized a natural gas explosion occurred about a mile just on the other side of the levee in Lake Pontchartrain. Some say the blast shook their homes and rattled their nerves. We can also tell you that they don't believe their home sustained any damage from the blast, but say they are very concerned for those who were on the platform that night.
It's sad. I can't imagine how much force we felt a mile away or however far we are, that the poor individuals that were actually on the rig, how they're able to withstand anything near that force being there in person. And then when we did notice that there were helicopters last night with searchlights, you know, obviously our conclusion was that there was maybe somebody unaccounted for.
And Mr. Hansen is exactly right. In fact, I can see just in the background here, the helicopters are still circulating over the Lake Pontchartrain here near the platform, of course, looking for that missing individual. The Hansens, again, typically this is always here because they like to look at the stars at night sometimes. And it's just unfortunate that the explosion occurred on yesterday. But again, they had a bird's eye view. They could clearly see just through the glass doors here exactly what transpired as soon as they heard the explosion. Sally Ann?
Janella, you were one of those who heard the explosion. What was that experience like?
Well, I tell you what, because I have to get up so early in the morning, I was actually in bed about the time it happened, which was around, what, 7:15, between 7:15 and 7:30. But I could hear it, and at first I was a little rattled by it because I don't live too far from the airport. So, of course, that type of a sound my mind started wondering, hey, could it be the airport, or could it have been a transformer blew, or was it a major car accident? I just didn't know. And I didn't hear any sirens where I was, so I assumed that, that everything would be okay, whatever it was. Sally Ann?
And you're reporting on the story this afternoon. Thank you very much, Janella. Again, this is what we know. 7 people were able to get off of that rig. They were rescued. Officials are saying 1 person is missing. The search for that person continues. 5 workers were transported to University Medical Center with injuries ranging from burns to wounds from the blast. 2 more workers were sent to East Jefferson Hospital. 2 patients were transported to a burn center in Baton Rouge. 1 was moved to an intensive care unit at University Medical Center. 4 workers were discharged from the hospital, and authorities have not released the names of the workers. The families have been notified. Here's what we know about the owners of the platform and the employees that exploded last night. The State Department of Natural Resources confirms that it is owned by Clovelly Oil Company, and the company is based here in New Orleans. 3 of the injured employees were working for Clovelly. 4 other employees worked for 2 contractors who were working on the platform at the time. The missing employee was also an employee of the contractor. It is a production platform called a commingling facility. It's a collection point for oil and gas from several wells. A statement from the New Orleans company says a natural gas well was feeding the tank at the time of the explosion, which occurred during maintenance. The statement says its 3 oil wells were shut in at the time, and the flow from the gas well was cut off after the explosion. The statement says Clovelly doesn't know if any oil was released into Lake Pontchartrain.